Welcome to our channel. Today we begin a powerful and emotional story, The Borrowed Heart by Amjad. It's a tale of love, sacrifice, guilt, and a secret that can change everything. So sit back, close your eyes, and listen to the story. Samuel is a simple man. He works hard, but life has not been kind. He lives in a small apartment with his wife, Hazel. Hazel is very sick. She needs a heart transplant. But Samuel doesn't have the money. The operation costs too much. Every day, she gets weaker, and Samuel feels helpless. Doctors say, she doesn't have much time. Samuel's heart breaks. He can't lose her. She is his whole world. He tries everything. He sells his car. He borrows from friends. He even begs his boss for help. But it's not enough. One night, in the hospital lobby, a man gives him a card. The man says, "If you want to save her, call this number." Then he walks away. The card has no name, just a number. Samuel is scared, but also curious. He calls the number. A deep voice answers, "I can help you, but you must be ready to give something back." And just like that, Samuel's life begins to change. Samuel meets a man named Victor. Victor is calm, well-dressed, and speaks in a low voice. He tells Samuel that he works with people who can arrange organ transplants quickly. These people don't follow hospital rules. They don't wait for donor lists. They find organs in secret from people who are ready to sell or donate them outside the law. It is illegal. It is dangerous. But it is fast. Victor says, "You need a heart for your wife, right? I can get you one in 2 weeks. But you must do something in return." Samuel is confused. He thought he had to pay money. But now Victor says this will cost him something else. Samuel asks, "What do I have to do?" Victor gives him a piece of paper with an address and says, "Go to this place. A man named Daniel will meet you. He is the donor." Samuel is shocked. He never thought he would meet the person who would give his wife a heart. Usually, organ donors are already dead, or it is done through a system. But this is different. This man is alive. Samuel feels nervous, but he agrees to go. The next day, he travels to the address. It is a quiet house in the countryside. There he meets Daniel. Daniel is young, maybe 30 or 35. He is thin, pale, and weak. He has cancer. The doctors have given him only a few months to live. His organs are still healthy, but his disease is slowly killing him. Daniel smiles and says, "So, you are the one. You want to save your wife." Samuel nods. He doesn't know what to say. Daniel looks calm, but his eyes are full of pain. Then Daniel says something that surprises Samuel. "I will give my heart, but I have one condition." Samuel holds his breath. Daniel continues, "My sister Isabella. She has no one. After I die, she will be alone. She has no job, no family, and no protection. I want you to marry her. That way, she will be safe. She will not be left alone in this world." Samuel is shocked. He says, "I am already married." Daniel nods and says, "I know, but this is the price. I give you my heart. You give my sister a future." Samuel does not know what to say. He feels angry, confused, and guilty. He doesn't want to cheat Hazel, but he also doesn't want her to die. This is not just a deal anymore. It is a heavy decision. Daniel says, "You don't have to love her. Just take care of her. Give her your name. She will live in your house. That's all I ask." Samuel returns home. Hazel is lying on the bed, breathing slowly. Her face looks pale, but she smiles when she sees him. She still believes he is looking for help. She doesn't know the dark choice he is about to make. That night, Samuel doesn't sleep. He looks at Hazel and thinks of Isabella. He thinks of Daniel, ready to give his life. He wonders if he is saving Hazel or selling his soul. The next morning, Samuel calls Victor. He says, "I agree. The deal is made. The day of the surgery is fixed." Everything happens quickly. Victor arranges a secret hospital where no one asks too many questions. The doctors there are skilled, but they work outside the law. They are paid to do their job and not talk about it. Samuel brings Hazel to the hospital and tells her that a donor has been found through a private connection. Hazel is surprised but too weak to ask many questions. She only says, "Thank you," and smiles with tired eyes. Daniel also arrives at the hospital. He looks even weaker than before. He walks slowly, holding the arm of his sister, Isabella. She is quiet, her eyes full of fear and sadness. She looks at Samuel but does not say anything. She is dressed simply, with a small bag in her hand. She knows her brother is going to die, but she also knows he chose this for her. Before the surgery, Samuel and Daniel sit together for the last time. Daniel says, "This is my last day. I am ready. I hope you will keep your promise." Samuel nods slowly. His heart is heavy, full of guilt. He can't believe he is about to watch a man give up his life so his own wife can live. Feels wrong, but it also feels like there is no other way. The surgery begins. Doctors work for hours. Hazel is in one room. Daniel is in another. The doctors remove Daniel's heart. He dies on the table. His heart is rushed to Hazel's room. Her chest is opened. The heart is placed inside her. Machines beep. Blood flows. Her new heart begins to beat. Slowly at first, then stronger. Samuel waits outside. Time feels frozen. After many hours, the doctor comes out and says, "She is safe. The transplant was successful." Samuel sits down and closes his eyes. Hazel is alive, but the cost of her life is heavy. A man is dead. His sister is alone. Later, Isabella meets Samuel again. Her face is calm, but her eyes are full of sorrow. She says, "My brother gave everything. I hope you won't forget his promise." Samuel says nothing. He can't speak. He only nods. Hazel wakes up 2 days later. She feels stronger. Her body is healing. She holds Samuel's hand and says, "You saved me." Samuel smiles, but inside, he feels empty. He knows the truth but cannot tell her. Not now. He begins to visit Isabella quietly, away from Hazel. He tells her that they should do a simple marriage as Daniel wished. Isabella agrees without asking for love or big promises. She only wants safety, a roof over her head, and the feeling that her brother's sacrifice meant something. They marry in secret. No big wedding, just a paper signed and a photo taken. Samuel gives her a small room in another part of the city. He tells Hazel that he is doing extra work and travels for his job. Hazel believes him. Weeks pass. Hazel's health improves. She starts walking again, eating better, smiling. But Samuel is sinking inside. He goes between two lives. One with Hazel, full of love and memories. Another with Isabella, full of silence and guilt. Isabella never complains. She waits for him, cooks for him, sometimes tries to talk, but Samuel doesn't say much. He only visits because of the promise. But she starts to care for him, not just as a husband, but as someone who tried to keep his word. One evening, she says softly, "I know you don't love me. I'm not angry. But I hope one day you will not hate me either." Samuel looks at her and feels something strange. A sadness. A bond. Maybe respect. But not love. Back home, Hazel starts asking questions. "Where do you go so often? Why do you look tired all the time? And where did the money come from for the operation?" Samuel gives simple answers. Work. New clients. "I'll tell you everything later." But she watches him closely. She knows something is not right. One morning, she says, "You saved my life, but sometimes I feel like I lost a part of you." Samuel turns away. He has no words. He now lives with two hearts. One beating inside Hazel, given by a dead man, and one breaking inside him, full of secrets he cannot share. Hazel becomes stronger every day. Her body accepts the new heart. She starts going for small walks, cooking simple meals, and even reading her favorite books again. The doctors call it a miracle. They say someone up there must love her very much. Hazel often looks at Samuel with soft eyes and says, "I'm alive because of you." Samuel forces a smile, but inside, her words cut him deeply. He did save her, yes, but not with money or prayer or luck. He saved her with someone else's life. And now, every time her heart beats, he hears the name Daniel in his mind. Samuel continues living two lives. In one, he is the loving husband taking care of Hazel, helping her heal. In the other, he visits Isabella, his second wife, the silent reminder of the cost of his decision. Isabella remains patient. She does not ask for love, only his presence. She decorates the small flat with simple things. A photo of her brother on the table. A few flowers in a glass jar. She cooks for Samuel when he visits. Waits for him without complaint. And slowly, her eyes start to look warmer when she sees him. Samuel begins to notice the difference. Hazel is joyful, grateful, but also suspicious. Isabella is lonely but kind. One woman is alive because of him. The other woman lost everything because of him. One day, Isabella tells him about her life before all this. How her brother raised her after their parents died. How they had no money, but they were happy. How Daniel used to bring her small gifts when he had a little extra. And how, when he became sick, he told her not to cry. He told her that if he could leave her safe, then it would not be a sad ending. She wipes her tears and says, "You are his last gift to me." I know it sounds strange, but sometimes I feel his heart is still beating, somewhere close. Samuel does not respond. He knows exactly where that heart is. It is inside Hazel. And that thought brings both warmth and pain. Meanwhile, Hazel grows more curious. She starts checking the bank records. She sees large deposits. She sees that Samuel's job hasn't changed. There is no new client, no sudden promotion. She remembers how weak he was before the surgery, how he cried at night thinking she might die. And now, she sees that he hides things. She begins to worry. One afternoon, Hazel calls the hospital where she had her surgery. She asks to speak to the doctor who did the transplant. But the hospital says no such surgery was ever done there. Hazel is confused. She checks again, this time asking her old nurse friend. The nurse tells her quietly, "This hospital is not a regular one. It's a private place. People go there when they don't want records." Some say it's a black market clinic. Hazel feels dizzy. Her chest tightens. The heart that beats inside her suddenly feels cold. She decides not to confront Samuel yet. She wants to know more. She wants to understand the truth. But most of all, she wants to know why he is lying. Back in the other flat, Isabella tries to make things feel like a real home. She starts knitting a sweater for Samuel. She also finds a small job at a bookshop. Samuel is surprised but proud of her. He sees she is trying to live, not just survive. But the guilt inside him grows. He remembers how Daniel looked before the surgery, how peaceful he was. He remembers the promise. And he also remembers Hazel's smile. One night, Samuel dreams of Daniel. In the dream, Daniel is standing in the rain, holding a heart in his hand. He says, "I gave this to save her, but you gave me nothing in return." Samuel wakes up sweating. The next day, he tries to stay longer with Isabella. She is happy. She serves tea, tells him about a new book she read, and even laughs a little. For a moment, Samuel forgets his pain, but only for a moment. Hazel, on the other side of the city, finds an envelope hidden in Samuel's cupboard. Inside it is a paper with a name, Daniel, and below it, a photo of a woman, Isabella. Hazel sits down. Her hands shake. The name Daniel feels familiar, and the woman in the photo is a stranger, yet somehow important. She stares at the photo, and the heart in her chest begins to beat faster. Not just from the discovery, but from the feeling that a truth is about to come out. A truth she is not ready for, but one that has already begun to change everything. Hazel sits quietly with the photo in her hands. The name Daniel written on the paper feels heavy. She doesn't know who he is, but something about the photo makes her heart beat faster. The woman in the picture is smiling softly. She looks simple, kind, maybe a little sad. Hazel stares at her face and whispers to herself, "Who are you? And why is this hidden?" That night, Samuel returns home and finds Hazel already in bed. She doesn't mention the envelope. She pretends everything is normal. But in her mind, the questions are growing. She watches Samuel from the corner of her eye. He looks tired, distant. Not the same man who used to laugh and hold her close. The next day, Hazel decides to visit an old friend who works at the city hospital. She tells her that she's trying to find information about a man named Daniel, who may have been involved in a heart transplant. Her friend hesitates, but after some pressure, she agrees to help. A few days later, she calls Hazel and says, "There was a Daniel who died in a private clinic. No records are public. But it's true. His heart was donated that same night." Hazel's hands shake. Her friend adds, "Hazel, please be careful. This sounds like something deeper than just a donation. You should talk to Samuel." But Hazel is not ready to talk. Not yet. She wants to know more. Meanwhile, Samuel's life is becoming more complicated. Isabella has started to grow closer to him. Not with words, but with actions. She makes tea before he arrives. Leaves a warm towel for him. She even tries to smile more, as if trying to make the flat feel like a home. One evening, when Samuel is about to leave, Isabella stops him gently and says, "Can I ask something? Not as a wife, but as a person." Samuel nods. She asks, "Do you hate me? Or do you just hate yourself?" Samuel is silent. Then he says, "I don't hate you, but I don't know who I am anymore." Isabella nods. She understands more than he thinks. She has lived with quiet pain all her life. At home, Hazel's curiosity becomes stronger than her fear. She decides to visit the address printed on the back of the photo. It leads her to a small neighborhood. She walks slowly, looking at the houses, hoping to see something that connects to the name Daniel. She stops at a small bookshop. Inside, a woman is arranging books on a shelf. Hazel looks through the window and freezes. It is the same woman from the photo. She now has shorter hair and looks tired, but Hazel is sure it's her. Hazel walks in. The bell above the door rings. The woman turns and smiles politely. Hazel tries to stay calm and says, "Hi, do you know someone named Daniel?" The woman's face changes. Her smile fades. She looks at Hazel carefully, then says, "Yes, he was my brother." Hazel nods. "I think I have something that once belonged to him." They sit in a corner of the shop. Isabella offers tea. Hazel tells her about the transplant, about how Samuel said the donor was anonymous. Isabella listens without speaking. Finally, Hazel shows her the photo. Isabella holds it quietly. Her hands don't shake, but her eyes are full. She says, "That was the last photo we took together, before he got sick." Hazel's voice is low. "I think I have his heart." Isabella doesn't look surprised. She simply says, "I know." There is a long silence. Two women, one with a borrowed heart, the other with a borrowed promise. They sit facing each other, both holding pieces of the same man. Back at home, Samuel doesn't know that the two women have met. He walks into the apartment like always. He removes his shoes, washes his hands, and calls out for Hazel, but she doesn't reply. He walks into the bedroom and sees the photo and the envelope on the bed. His chest tightens. He knows now. Hazel knows. The wall of secrets he built is beginning to fall. And the truth he tried to hide is finally finding its way into the light. Samuel stands at the bedroom door, staring at the photo and the envelope on the bed. His heart beats loudly in his chest. He knows now that Hazel has found out. All the lies, all the secrets. He can no longer hide them. His hands tremble as he picks up the envelope. It's open. The photo is still there. Hazel has seen everything. He walks into the living room, hoping to find her. But she's not home. The silence in the house feels heavier than usual. He sits down slowly, thinking about what to do. He remembers every step he took to reach this point. The debt, the decision, the agreement with Daniel, the marriage to Isabella. He had always told himself it was for love, for Hazel. But now he's not sure if love should cost this much. Meanwhile, Hazel walks down the street with slow steps. After meeting Isabella, her mind is filled with emotions she doesn't understand. She doesn't feel anger, at least not yet. What she feels is confusion. Why did Samuel marry another woman? Who was Daniel really? Why did no one tell her? She stops at a small park and sits on a bench. She tries to remember the first days after her surgery. How Samuel looked so relieved. how he held her hand and whispered, "You'll be okay now." She believed him. She trusted him. But now, all of that feels like a dream. What else had he been hiding? At the same time, Isabella sits alone in her bookshop, thinking about Hazel. She had not planned to tell her anything. But when Hazel showed up with the photo, Isabella felt that it was time. She had lived in silence for too long. She had accepted the marriage because of her brother's wish, not because she wanted someone else's husband. But slowly, her feelings had changed, not because Samuel gave her love, but because she saw his pain. A man who carried too much guilt. A man who didn't know how to forgive himself. That evening, Hazel returns home. She finds Samuel sitting on the couch. His head is in his hands. He doesn't look up when she walks in. She stands quietly, waiting for him to speak. Finally, he lifts his head and looks at her with tired eyes. "I never wanted to lie," Samuel says. Hazel replies softly, "Then why did you?" He sighs. "Because I was afraid. Afraid I would lose you. Afraid that if you knew the truth, you'd never look at me the same again." Hazel sits down across from him. "Start from the beginning," she says. "Tell me everything." And so he does. He tells her about the debt, the refusal from hospitals, the black market offer, and Daniel. He tells her about the condition, marrying Isabella to give her a future. He tells her how broken he felt, how helpless he was, and how Daniel, even in his last days, was thinking only of his sister. Hazel listens quietly. No tears. No words. Just silence. After he finishes, she asks, "Do you love her?" Samuel shakes his head. "No. I respect her. I care for her. But I never stopped loving you." Hazel nods. She doesn't know what to say. Her heart, the very heart keeping her alive, came from a man she never met. A man who gave it away with one condition, that she share her husband with his sister. The next few days are strange. Hazel avoids talking about the subject. Samuel gives her space. He still visits Isabella, but with guilt heavier than ever before. Isabella feels it too. She tries to act normal, but she knows something has changed. One afternoon, Isabella receives a letter. It's from Hazel. A simple note with a few words. "We need to talk. Just us." They meet again at the same bookshop. This time, Hazel doesn't look confused. She looks calm. Hazel begins, "I understand now why you did it. Why he did it." Isabella nods, not saying anything. Hazel continues, "You didn't steal anything. But I lost something too. I lost the simple truth of my life. Now everything feels borrowed." Isabella replies, "I never wanted to take your place." Hazel looks at her. "You didn't. But he gave you one. And now we're both standing in the space between love and duty." They sit quietly for a while. Hazel finally says, I don't know what the right thing is anymore, but I don't want to live with hate. Isabella says softly, "Neither do I." As they part ways, both women carry a strange kind of peace. Not happiness, not forgiveness, but understanding. They are connected in a way they never asked for. By one man's heart and another man's love. Back at home, Samuel waits for Hazel. He doesn't know what she will decide. But whatever happens next, he knows he cannot undo the past. All he can do is hope that the truth, no matter how painful, will lead them somewhere new. Samuel starts spending more time alone. His mind is full of thoughts that will not go away. Even though he told Hazel everything, and even though she listened quietly, something between them has changed. Their love, once strong and full of warmth, now feels uncertain. Every conversation is careful. Every glance is filled with unspoken words. At work, Samuel tries to stay busy. He takes on extra tasks. He avoids coming home early, not because he doesn't want to see Hazel, but because he doesn't know what to say to her anymore. She has stopped asking questions, but her silence says more than any words could. Hazel, too, is thinking deeply. The heart beating inside her chest is no longer just an organ. It has become a reminder of the man named Daniel. A man who died so that she could live. A man whose final wish changed all of their lives. Sometimes, she wonders what kind of person Daniel was. Was he kind? Was he hopeful in his last days? Did he love his sister so much that he gave her a husband along with his heart? Hazel starts writing in a notebook. Not a diary exactly, but a place to empty her thoughts. She writes about her memories with Samuel, their love, their struggles. She writes about the day he told her the truth. She writes about Isabella, about the strange bond she now feels with a woman she never wanted to meet. Most of all, she writes about the weight of being alive because of someone else's death. It is not easy to carry. One day, while cleaning the house, Hazel finds a small box in the back of Samuel's closet. Inside, she finds letters, handwritten letters from Daniel to Samuel. Some of them are filled with medical details like blood reports and hospital notes. Others are more personal. In one letter, Daniel writes, "My time is ending. I don't fear death, but I fear leaving my sister with no one. She is strong, but too kind for this world. If you take this heart, promise me you will take care of her too." Hazel reads the letter again and again. She feels tears come to her eyes. These were not the words of a selfish man. Daniel had accepted death and used it to create a future for someone else. Hazel places the letter back into the box. Her heart aches, not just for herself, but for Daniel, for Samuel, and for Isabella. Isabella, on the other hand, is also going through a change. She has stopped waiting for Samuel. She realizes now that love cannot grow where it is not freely given. She remembers her brother's final words. She had promised him she would try, that she would not push Samuel but simply give him peace. But maybe it is time to let go. Not because she doesn't care, but because caring doesn't always mean holding on. She begins to focus on her bookshop more seriously. She paints the walls. She brings in new books. She starts a reading group for children in the neighborhood. Slowly, people notice her smile again. It is not full, not perfect, but it is real. She begins to find her own place in the world, a place that isn't built on someone else's promise. Weeks pass. One evening, Hazel returns home and finds Samuel cooking dinner. He turns to her and smiles a little. She smiles back. For the first time in many days, there is no tension between them. As they sit at the table, Hazel says, "I read Daniel's letters." Samuel lowers his eyes. "I didn't hide them. I just couldn't read them again." "I understand now," she says. "Everything he asked of you, it was too much." Samuel shakes his head. "It wasn't too much. I just didn't know how to live with the choices I made." Hazel replies, "We both lived through something we never expected, but I don't want to keep walking around like a ghost." Samuel looks at her, unsure what she means. Hazel continues, "I want to live again, not just survive. And maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to do that together." In that moment, something softens between them. Not everything is healed. But for the first time in a long while, there is a sense of hope. A feeling that maybe love can survive even when it has been broken. The next day, Samuel visits Isabella. He tells her everything Hazel said. Isabella smiles gently and says, "That's what I hoped would happen. You belong with her. You always did." Samuel looks down. "I wish things had been different. I never wanted to hurt you." Isabella stands up and walks to the door. "I know. But life doesn't always give us simple choices. He gave you a borrowed heart. Now you have to decide how to use it." She hugs him once, lightly, and then lets go. As Samuel walks away, he feels a strange lightness, like a burden has been lifted, like a new path is finally opening before him. Isabella stands at the doorway, watching him disappear down the street. She doesn't cry. Instead, she walks back into the shop, picks up a book, and opens it to the first page. A new chapter begins for all of them, even if they do not yet know what it will bring. Samuel and Hazel slowly begin to rebuild their life together. The air between them is still quiet, but not heavy like before. It's the kind of quiet that gives space for new things to grow. They start by doing small things, having tea together in the morning, walking to the market on weekends, watching old movies they once loved. These moments are not big or dramatic, but they matter. Each one is like a thread helping them stitch back the pieces of their relationship. Hazel's health is better now. The doctors are happy with her recovery. Her body is strong, and her energy has returned, but the real healing is happening inside her. She is learning to forgive, not just Samuel, but herself, for all the anger, the doubt, and the pain she had held in. She begins to speak more about her feelings, something she hadn't done for months, and Samuel listens. Not to defend himself, not to explain, but just to understand. Samuel also changes. He no longer carries everything alone. For the first time, he shares his fears with Hazel. He tells her how scared he was when she got sick, how hopeless he felt when the hospital gave up, and how desperate he was when Daniel made the offer. He admits the shame he felt for saying yes, the guilt of marrying Isabella, and the fear of losing Hazel forever. Hazel doesn't judge him. She holds his hand and says, "You saved me. Maybe not in the perfect way, but you didn't let me go." That has to mean something. Samuel starts to believe that maybe love isn't about always doing the right thing. Maybe it's about standing by each other when everything is wrong. Meanwhile, Isabella finds peace in her own way. She keeps working at her bookstore. It becomes a safe place, not only for her but also for others. Children visit after school to read. Old people come to talk. She starts hosting poetry nights and invites local writers to speak. Slowly, she builds a community, a little family of her own. One day, she receives a letter in the mail. It's from a small publisher who visited her store a month ago. They want to publish a short collection of her writings. At first, she thinks it's a mistake. She had only shown the publisher her notes by accident. But the letter is clear. They see something honest and beautiful in her words, something that deserves to be shared. For the first time in years, Isabella cries, not from sadness, but from joy. She looks up at the ceiling and whispers, "Daniel, I hope you can see this. I'm trying, just like you asked." Back at Samuel and Hazel's home, another moment of truth arrives. Hazel tells Samuel she wants to meet Isabella, not just to thank her, but to understand her. To understand the woman who gave up her future so Hazel could have hers back. Samuel is unsure, but he agrees. They go together, walking hand in hand to the bookstore. When Isabella sees them at the door, she is surprised but not angry. She welcomes them in with a calm smile. Hazel walks up to her and says, "Thank you. I don't have the right words, but I need to say it anyway. Thank you for everything." Isabella nods. "You don't owe me anything. My brother made a choice and I respected it. That's all." Hazel pauses, then says, "But you lived with that choice. That takes courage." The three of them sit down for tea. It is a strange meeting, quiet and full of emotion, but there is no bitterness. Just three people connected by one man's final wish. They talk about Daniel, about who he was as a brother, a friend, a human being. They share stories, memories, laughter, and even a few tears. When it's time to leave, Hazel hugs Isabella gently. Samuel and Isabella exchange one last look. One of understanding, not regret. Something unspoken passes between them. Not love, not sorrow, but peace. From that day on, their lives take different paths, but without the weight of unfinished emotions. Samuel and Hazel go back to their home, not to forget the past, but to build something new on top of it. Isabella continues her work, slowly becoming the writer her brother always believed she could be. None of them are the same as before. They are changed by love, by loss, by the price of life. But change does not always break people. Sometimes it remakes them into something stronger. Time passes. Seasons change. Life begins to feel normal again for Samuel and Hazel. But this new normal is not simple. It's a life built on deep truths and quiet strength. They now live with honesty between them. There are no secrets, no hidden pain. They talk often, sometimes about the past, sometimes about nothing at all. But every word they share helps keep them close. Samuel finds work again. A small job, not very high-paying, but honest. He begins to take pride in it. After everything they have been through, he feels proud just to stand on his own feet. He also volunteers on weekends at a free health clinic. He helps people fill out forms, find doctors, and apply for aid. He never tells them his story, but he listens to theirs. He knows what it means to be desperate. That understanding becomes his quiet gift to others. Hazel starts a small garden behind their house. At first, it's just a few plants, some tomatoes, mint, and flowers. But slowly, it becomes her favorite place. She spends hours in the soil, feeling the sun, breathing in the fresh air. Gardening helps her heal in a different way. She says the garden reminds her that life can grow again. Even after the hardest winter, they begin to host friends again. Their home, once so quiet and tense, now fills with laughter and conversation. It's not always perfect. Some days are hard. But the love between them has become stronger, like a tree that has survived many storms. Isabella, on the other hand, begins to gain recognition as a writer. Her book is published. It's a collection of short stories and reflections, some based on her childhood, some on her brother. The writing is raw, honest, and full of quiet emotion. People begin to write to her, telling her how her words touched their hearts. One letter says, "I lost my brother last year. Reading your book felt like sitting beside someone who understands that kind of pain." That letter makes Isabella cry again. But not from sadness. She feels her brother's presence more than ever. Daniel had once said she was stronger than she believed. Now, for the first time, she starts to believe it too. She continues to run the bookstore. But now, it's more than just a shop. It becomes a place where people gather to heal, to share, to learn. Every week, she hosts writing workshops. People come with poems, letters, stories. Some are young, full of dreams. Others are older, full of memories. She listens to them all. She tells them, "Your story matters, no matter how small it feels." One day, she receives an invitation to speak at a book event in another city. It's a big moment for her. But before she leaves, She visits Daniel's grave. She places a copy of her book on the grass beside the headstone. She whispers, "You gave me a future. I hope I'm using it well." She closes her eyes and remembers the night he told her to marry Samuel. The fear in his eyes, the love in his voice. It had been a strange request. Painful. Unfair. But somehow it had brought her here, stronger, wiser, and no longer alone. Back in Samuel and Hazel's world, a surprise arrives. One evening, Hazel finds out she is pregnant. It's unexpected. The doctors had told her earlier that her body might not support a child after the transplant. But the news is clear. They are going to be parents. At first, Samuel doesn't speak. His hands tremble. He holds Hazel tightly and begins to cry. It's not just happiness. It's something deeper. A feeling that life, after everything, has chosen to bless them again. They decide to keep the pregnancy quiet for now. It feels like something sacred, something just for them. In the evenings, Samuel speaks softly to Hazel's belly, telling stories, singing small songs, hoping the child inside can hear. They talk about names. Hazel says, "If it's a boy, I want to name him Daniel." Samuel agrees without a word. Just a quiet nod. That name, once so heavy with guilt, now feels like a gift, a memory that will live on in someone new. This child, they both feel, is not just a baby. It is a sign that love, even broken love, can grow again. That even after loss, betrayal, and sacrifice, life does not stop offering second chances. They don't know what the future holds, but they are ready to face it. Together. 1 year passes. The seasons turn once more, and the quiet life that Samuel and Hazel built has grown deeper and stronger. Their child, a baby boy, is born on a peaceful morning in spring. The air is soft, the sky is clear, and the hospital room is filled with quiet tears and warm smiles. Samuel holds the baby first. He looks into his son's small, blinking eyes and feels something he cannot explain. Not just happiness. Not just love. It is a full circle. It is healing in human form. They name him Daniel, not just in memory of the man who gave Samuel his heart, but in honor of the man who gave them all a second chance. Hazel kisses the baby's forehead and whispers that he is the light after the storm. The child becomes the center of their world. Their days are filled with soft blankets, night feedings, and quiet lullabies. And though they are tired, they are also complete. Samuel often watches his son sleep and thinks about everything it took to reach this point. He still remembers the fear, the pain, the deal he made, and the guilt he carried. But he also remembers Daniel's face, calm and steady, asking him to protect Isabella, to make sure she would not be alone. And he had done that in the way he could. Not perfectly, not without pain, but with sincerity. That matters now. Isabella visits often. She holds the baby like he is made of stars. Sometimes, She reads to him soft stories, gentle poems, words filled with wonder and love. Watching her with the baby, Samuel sometimes feels the old guilt return, but it doesn't stay long. Because now there is no confusion between them. Only respect. Only shared memories and silent gratitude. Her book has become a success. She travels now, speaks to people, and tells her story in parts. Not the full truth. That belongs only to her, to Samuel, and to Hazel. But she shares the heart of it. The pain of letting go, the power of love, and the courage to begin again. She often tells her audience, there are some wounds that don't heal, but even wounds can bloom into something beautiful if you let them breathe. The bookstore is now run by a small team. It has grown just like her. It is still the same cozy place, but now it has a corner for children's books, a shelf for poetry, and a wall where readers write what books mean to them. Every time she returns home, she visits the graveyard. She brings fresh flowers, sits beside her brother's resting place, and speaks softly. Your heart beats in many places now, she says once, placing her hand on her chest. In him, in me, in all of this, Samuel and Hazel live simply. Their house is full of little things. A baby blanket on the couch, small toys under the table, soft music in the background. Hazel's garden blooms more brightly than ever. She teaches their son to touch the leaves gently, to smell the flowers without picking them. She tells him that life is fragile, and we must care for it. Samuel sometimes writes letters to his son. Letters he does not plan to give him until he is older. In these letters he tells the full truth. About the debt, the transplant, the choice, the pain, the love. He writes, one day, you will ask how you came into this world. And when you do, I want you to know everything. Because you are the reason I learned what love really means. One day, when the boy is 5, he points to a photo on the shelf. It's a photo of Daniel, smiling gently. The boy asks, who is that? Samuel kneels beside him and answers, that is a man who gave us the biggest gift. His name is Daniel, and you are named after him. The child thinks for a moment, then says, thank you, Daniel. Samuel hugs him, and in that moment all the pain, all the mistakes, all the guilt, everything that once weighed him down, turns into something else, something softer, something free. And that is how a borrowed heart, once full of sorrow, learned to beat again in love, in truth, and in peace. That's the end of the story. If you enjoyed the story, please like, share, and subscribe for more exciting tales. Check out our other videos and share your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned for the next adventure. Thanks for watching.